Greetings, fellow cultivators. Welcome to Audio Nova. Remember to like and subscribe to support the journey. Today, we're diving into the story of what's the point of cultivating immortality if you don't have money. In the classroom of Class 10, Grade 2. Although Class 10 had the worst average grade in the second year of Xiong High School, the immortal cultivation atmosphere in the classroom far exceeded that of ordinary high schools. When Bai Zhenjin, with an icy expression, opened the classroom door and walked in, she saw desks filled with syringes and medicine bottles, and the awed gazes of the students of Class 10. In the eyes of these Class 10 students, Bai Zhenjin, who was among the top 2 in the grade and had won awards in competitions, was a true inner disciple prodigy of Xiong High School, destined to ascend to a second-tier university in the future. As for their Class 10, wasn't that just the servants' quarters? After graduating from high school, they would go to work, with one foot already in the factory. But seeing the inner disciple prodigy coming to their servants' quarters, the students present were all surprised. It's Bai Zhenjin. The prodigy from the demonstration class actually came to our garbage dump. That's the top female student in the grade. If I could copy her test papers, I would even be willing to skip class. Is she here to bully us? Don't take my homework. Just as the students in the class had different thoughts and ideas, the class monitor of Class 10 quickly stood up and greeted Bai Zhenjin, saying, "Senior Bai Zhenjin, what can we do for you?" Although everyone was a second-year student, those who achieved first on the path of immortal cultivation were respected first. In order to survive better in Xiong High School, the students of Class 10 always addressed the top students of other classes as senior. Seeing the approaching class monitor, Bai Zhenjin took out a power bank from her arms and said coldly, "I want the socket in your class. From now on, you will help me charge this power bank every day. Bring it to me after it's fully charged." After speaking, without caring about the other party's confused and nervous expression, Bai Zhenjin turned and left. She was not afraid that these Class 10 students would dare not follow her instructions. After all, in the high school world, grades were the most important thing. Poor students had no power to resist top students. Not to mention charging a power bank, they could only do it even if they had to kneel and kowtow. After Bai Zhenjin left Class 10, she went to several other classrooms in turn and sent the power banks in her arms one by one. Then Bai Zhenjin had already arrived at the floor where the first-year students were. Looking at the empty classrooms, Bai Zhenjin thought to herself, power banks are just a supplement. If I really want to steal electricity, I have to touch the socket with my hand faster. It was still late August, and the first-year freshmen had not yet entered the school. Bai Zhenjin casually walked into an empty first-year classroom, and the power of the detection ritual in her body was suddenly activated, and she scanned the 4 surveillance cameras in the classroom. However, the 4 surveillance cameras were dim in her eyes. Bai Zhenjin knew that this meant that none of the 4 cameras had been activated. After all, the first-year freshmen haven't come in yet, and no one is using this classroom yet. So she came to a socket with peace of mind, and her white and tender fingertips were already pressed on the socket. As wisps of electric light lit up on her fingertips, Bai Zhenjin felt streams of tingling, crackling electric light pouring into her body. Supplemented by this current, Bai Zhenjin only felt that the original thunder magic power in her body suddenly became active. While the magic power unit temporarily soared, it began to travel back and forth throughout her body, strengthening her body and nervous system, and also making her body emit a faint electric light. After charging for a while, Bai Zhenjin seized the time to practice the thunderclap true body. This body refining technique was originally designed to condense thunder attribute, magic, power, to stimulate and exercise the physical body. After reaching level 10, and being deduced by the true spiritual root, Bai Zhenjin's physical toughness was continuously improved, and the physical body had the effect of buffering and absorbing energy at high speed. At this moment, under the infusion of temporarily soaring thunder magic power, the process of condensing thunder attribute, magic power was directly omitted, making the operation of the thunderclap true body more and more smooth. Since stimulating her potential, Bai Zhenjin felt that her control over the thunder magic power in her body was even more smooth and satisfactory, as if this thing was originally a part of her body. In addition, the socket was right next to her, which could replenish Bai Zhenjin's magic power consumption at any time. As a result, Bai Zhenjin's body refining effect was several times stronger than usual. Even a trace of electric light gradually entangled on the true spiritual root in her dantian. until her muscles gradually began to ache and become numb. Bai Zhenjin knew that her body was about to be over-fatigued, so she stopped temporarily. Well, let's take a rest and go back to see how the harvest is. So Bai Zhenjin returned to the classroom of the demonstration class, and saw that her desk was already piled up with fully charged power banks. Seeing this scene, Bai Zhenjin smiled slightly, and immediately picked up the power bank and ran out, while sucking the wire of the power bank with her mouth, feeling the slowly surging current, and began to breathe out to restore her magic power. While Bai Zhenjin was going back to the classroom to get the power bank, a student complained to Hideo, "President, if Bai Zhenjin keeps occupying the socket like this, how can we charge?" Hideo frowned when he heard the words Bai Zhenjin is in the top 2 in the grade. What is your grade? Isn't it right for you to let her charge? The other party said, but. Hideo, there is no but, either you endure it, or you surpass her in grades, then you can charge in the principal's office without any problems. Seeing the other party leave in despair, Hideo shook his head and sighed in his heart that as the vice president of the student council, he should naturally enforce the law impartially. If it was Zhao Tianqing who occupied the socket, he would definitely stand up and speak righteously, but if it was Bai Zhenjin who occupied the socket, he could only persuade other students to endure it. At the same time, on the school rooftop, Zhang Yu was practicing the spring and autumn endless zen. He saw that after each set of movements was completed, the muscles in his body were damaged, as if they were being hammered and torn, and then accelerated to repair and heal under the nourishment of the longevity magic power. His whole person became stronger and stronger in this cycle of one autumn, one spring, one death and one life, and constantly discharged the accumulated drug toxins and pill toxins in his body. Finally, with the completion of another round of spring and autumn endless zen, Zhang Yu's gaze suddenly condensed, and his spring and autumn endless zen finally reached level 10. At this moment, countless experiences of spring and autumn reincarnation, as well as physical nourishment and purification, poured out in his mind, allowing him to grasp this technique to a peak. The 49 styles of spring and autumn endless zen flashed through his mind one by one, and the corresponding longevity magic power also flowed through his body. The reincarnation of one autumn and one spring constantly strengthened his body and purified his flesh and blood, as if there was no end. Also at this moment, Zhang Yu discovered that after the spring and autumn endless zen reached level 10, the detoxification ability of this technique became more powerful, and even the pill toxins and drug toxins that were originally to be discharged from the body could be controlled and retained in the body. The latest novel is first published on 6ix9ine Book Bar. These pill toxins and drug toxins would form a Zen character on the skin of his chest, and as the toxins accumulated, the color of the character would become darker and darker. These toxins would not affect him at ordinary times, and when Zhang Yu needed it, he could suddenly burst out this pill toxin and drug toxin, greatly stimulating his body, squeezing out the potential of his life, and bursting out physical strength beyond the limit. However, the stronger the accumulated toxins, the stronger the potential that erupts, but the more it consumes lifespan. Zhang Yu pondered the mystery, and thought to himself, this is a trick that can be used to fight desperately, but it should not be used unless it is absolutely necessary. As for when to use this desperate trick, in Zhang Yu's view, it is naturally not when fighting. After all, fighting is already desperate enough, and this trick is too easy to lose money. Maybe it is better to lose than to win. On the contrary, the upcoming foundation establishment exam is related to the future of life. If it is necessary to sacrifice a few years of life to increase the success rate, Zhang Yu can accept it. After the spring and autumn endless zen reaches level 10, I will have to find time to gather the basic high school techniques and complete the high school holy body. After familiarizing himself with the level 10 spring and autumn endless zen, Zhang Yu knew it was dinner time as the bell rang. For Zhang Yu, who spends a lot of time refining his body every day, the importance of eating is no less than that of refining his body. He immediately jumped towards the downstairs. Then, under the gaze of everyone, he landed on the ground with a bang, and then walked quickly towards the cafeteria. Scanning the team in front of the cafeteria, looking at the purple people, black people, and beastmen among them, Zhang Yu couldn't help but sigh at the diversity of Songyang High School today. Especially the black people gave him a sense of intimacy. It feels like I've traveled back in time. I didn't expect our Kungshu to have its own black people. Under the respectful gazes of everyone, Zhang Yu directly crossed the queuing team, and after finishing his meal, he came to the old position in the cafeteria, and saw that Bai Jinjin had already arrived in advance. Just as Zhang Yi was eating, while opening his mobile phone to select basic high school techniques, Zhao Tianxing and Qian Shen also came over after finishing their meals. However, Zhao Tianxing and Qian Shen, at this moment, looked very different from the way they looked a few weeks ago. Although the skin was still a little purple, it was much lighter than that of the high school students outside. Zhao Tianxing still remembered that when only a small number of people in the school were like him and underwent the transformation surgery first and became purple people, he felt quite embarrassed. But as more and more purple people appeared in the school, he felt more and more natural. On the contrary, those who had not undergone surgery began to feel inferior and embarrassed. And when most people had undergone the transformation surgery, the more purple the color, the more despised, inferior, and embarrassed they became. Because after the supermetabolism surgery is completed, the lighter the skin color, the stronger the mastery of supermetabolism. Zhao Tianxing thought to himself unconsciously, there has been a new class division standard among the purple people in the school, from the lowest deep purple people, to the intermediate light purple people, to the highest level of non-purple people. The lighter the color, the higher the status. This is still because Songyang High School has not fully carried out supermetabolism surgery. I heard that everyone in Xian High School has undergone supermetabolism surgery, and the skin color is completely integrated into the high school caste system of the school. Just then, a notice came from the campus broadcast, saying that the campus discipline would be rectified next, and tardiness and absenteeism would be strictly investigated. Zhang Yu and Bai Jinjin frowned when they heard this. They are both major absentees in Songyang High School. After all, the current high school can't keep up with their immortal cultivation progress. Not skipping class means wasting time, which is obviously not possible for the two who urgently need time to prepare for the foundation establishment exam. A few days ago. Songyang High School. Inside the school's cultivation meditation room. As the current student council president, the top student of the 3rd grade, and an outstanding descendant of the Zhu family, Zhi Chechen spent a lot of time, energy, and money, but found that he couldn't find out who Zhang Yu's investor was. Hearing Zhi Chechen's result, Lan Ling's eyes flashed with hatred, and he immediately said, if you can't find out, just have someone run him over. Just ask the fastest courier in Songyang City to run him over and cripple him while delivering goods, and then delay the compensation as long as possible. Anyway, there are courier accidents every year. It's normal to hit a high school student. Looking at Lan Ling's impulsive appearance, Zhu Chechen sighed and said, hey, can you not be so impulsive? Isn't it just having words carved on you, making me vomit, and then having the whole school laugh at us in secret? Lan Ling looked at Zhi Chechen in disbelief. This doesn't count as anything. This is a great humiliation. If I have to endure this, I might as well change my cultivation method and practice the desolate bull soul suppression art. Zhu Chechen said, hey, your temper has become more and more irritable since you cultivated that overlord heart technique. But people should control the heart technique, not be controlled by it. Many times, instead of doing something to make the heart technique run smoothly, it's better to figure it out yourself. Zhu Chechen pointed to his head and said, as long as you figure it out yourself, you don't have to spend a penny. Isn't that more cost-effective? For example, I was really angry at the time, but people can't be angry all the time, right? Think about it. When you go to college, graduate, and work, who will still be discussing these things about you? Many things seem very important and make you angry at the time. But looking back after a few years, it's just a little bit of wind and frost. We should study hard, get into college, and our future is brighter than these two poor ghosts, right? Every year, there are poor genius students who become famous in Songyang City, but how many of them make waves in the end? This world is ultimately the world of wealthy families, the world of rich people. Lan Ling didn't want to listen anymore, and said anxiously, just endure it like this. President. The animated image of you vomiting has been spread to ordinary high schools. Do you know what they call you and me outside now? Vomiting king of Songyang and college student of Songyang. You can endure this. You weren't like this before. Zhu Shechen's face twitched slightly, and he smiled helplessly. Lan Ling, if the one who offended you was a student from class 10 of the 2nd grade, I wouldn't say anything. I would accompany you to press their whole class to the ground right now. But as for Zhang Yu, it seems that I can only advise you to endure it for now. After all, the most important thing for people is to look forward. Why? Lanling looked at Zhi deeply, as if looking at a stranger president. You are not this kind of person who swallows his anger, especially not when facing to poor ghosts. Tell me why. Zhi said lightly. You also know that Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjin are two poor ghosts, so do you think that if they had no one behind them after Zhang Pianpian left, they could continue to grow to where they are now? There must be someone behind them. But we can't find out. Not being able to find out is the scariest thing. It shows that the other party's power is completely above us. That's why I am advising you now. We are already in the 3rd grade, and there are still 10 months until the college entrance examination. It's not worth spending money and energy on this. That's what Zhi thought, that's what he advised Lanling, and that's what he planned to do. But that night, the appearance of a family elder completely disrupted his plan. Along with the fluctuations of divine power, a divine power projection directly appeared in front of Zhi. Zhi heart skipped a beat. This is a projection talisman. Appearing with the projection was a young man who looked somewhat similar to Zhi, but with a colder expression. And the most eye-catching thing about the young man was the 5 golden characters above his head: purple, gold merit lord. Purple gold merit lord. Zhi deeply understood the weight of these 5 words. That was a distinguished believer who spent hundreds of millions of funds on the belief of a true God every year, raising the belief level to a full 3 levels. And displaying the title of Purple Gold Merit Lord in real time, even forcing it to be displayed in front of others, even closing your eyes wouldn't make it disappear. This was one of the privileges of the Purple Gold Merit Lord. Looking at the person in front of him, Zhi immediately stood up, respectfully, and said, "Uncle." Appearing in front of him was Xiong, a Zhu family elder. Xiong himself was not responsible for the Zhu family's corpse business, but joined Wanxing Group and became a senior executive of the company. And Songyang High School belonged to Wanxing Education Group. This was also a common situation for wealthy families in Songyang City. Family members appeared in various companies, and the relationship of interest was intricate, which was the keynote for the company to operate locally. Standing in front of Xiong, Zhi felt that his so-called high school top student and student council president was extremely small. After all, there were only a few senior executives of Wanxing Group in Songyang City, but there were new top students in Songyang High School every year. Xiong looked at him, and with a tap of his finger, a talisman naturally formed, turning into a layer of sound barrier to surround the area. Looking at this scene, Zhi sighed inwardly. When the belief level reached the step of Purple Gold Merit Lord, even after projection, all kinds of talismans were still readily available. This kind of method to many people was already very similar to a god. Only to hear Xiong say lightly, "The family has some things that need you to do." Hearing this, Zhi's heart trembled slightly, but he already had a bad feeling in his heart. Xiong didn't care about Zhi's emotions, but continued lightly, "Suppress Zhang Yu. It just so happens that you have grievances and interests with him, so use your own name, don't use the family's name." Zhang Yu. Zhi was slightly stunned. He didn't expect it to be this kind of thing. Xiong continued, "You have to pay attention to the specific degree. What we want is not to suppress him to death, but to force him to a dead end within the rules, force him to ask someone for help." Listening to what the other party said, Zhi's heart moved, and he asked, "Force Zhang Yu to ask someone for help? Is the family going to deal with the person behind Zhang Yu?" Xiong didn't speak, but said, "You just need to follow our instructions and press Zhang Yu to the ground. You don't need to worry about the rest." Zhi sighed inwardly, only feeling that the water was unfathomable. At this moment, he felt that he and Zhang Yu were like two chess pieces on a chessboard. The person behind Zhang Yu and the Zhu family behind him were the real chess players. Although the Zhu family was a family ranked at the bottom of the 16 wealthy families in Songyang, Zhi, who was in it, understood what a terrifying behemoth this was. And this behemoth was now going to deal with the person behind Zhang Yu. It could be seen that the power behind Zhang Yu was not to be underestimated. But these two behemoths were fighting, and he and Zhang Yu were affected by this turmoil. A slight carelessness would lead to a crushing end. Zhi sighed in his heart, but he knew that he had accepted the family's training so far, and he could no longer disobey any orders from the family, so he simply said, "I understand." Xiong's projection slowly disappeared, leaving only his voice continuing to echo in Zhi's ears. "Don't worry, whether it's people or money, the family will cooperate with you. Go ahead and do it, Zhi." At the same time, inside an apartment on the 333rd floor of the central building. Xiong was lying on the hospital bed. The lower half of his body had disappeared. Only the upper half of his body was connected to various pipes, quietly overlooking the city's night view outside the window. He thought to himself, a new evil god incident has occurred. The patrol team has finally stretched its hands to other places. Since the evil god accidentally revealed its flaws in Songyang High School before, important figures of Songyang High School, Wangxing Group, and even the Zhu family have been targeted by the patrol team, so that they can only quietly lurk, and dare not use the power of the evil god, at all. Yes, evil god, this is the reason why the Zhu family's ancestors were able to rise in the first place. It is also what they have been able to monopolize most of the corpse business in Songyang City after generations of operation, to gradually penetrate the company and to become one of the reliance of the 16 wealthy families. But all along, the Zhu family has been very cautious about the use of the evil god's power, only hoping to use the other party's power to make the Zhu family stronger. So the ancestors of the Zhu family set some rules. For example, the Zhu family members who set up the evil god ritual are not allowed to go to the second floor. This is to prevent the power of the ritual from being discovered on the second floor, and even more to prevent the tentacles of the evil god from extending to the second floor. So the seed members of the Zhu family who were going to take the college entrance examination, in the past generations, have never performed the ritual, and have never known the existence of the evil god. Looking at the extremely prosperous city center, under the night sky, Xiong's mind was filled with turbulent pictures, which was the pressure the Zhu family was facing under the tide of the times. His mind flashed through the past scenes of Songyang City, the rise and fall of those wealthy families, all symbolizing the changes of the times. Wealth is constantly gathering, and the tentacles of wealthy families are constantly extending to all walks of life. But along with the tide of the times, the development of immortal technology, the number of wealthy families at the top of Songyang is also gradually decreasing. Those fallen wealthy families have become nutrients, making the surviving wealthy families stronger and stronger, accumulating more and more amazing energy in Songyang City. However, which wealthy family does not want to stand forever and permanently on the sky of Songyang City, watching the tens of thousands of people under their feet contribute their value, working for their families generation after generation? Xiong thought, if the Zhu family wants to continue to stand on the top of Songyang and not be eliminated under the tide of this era, the most important thing now is to master a stronger evil god power. Zhangyu, I didn't expect a spare organ to become a believer of the evil god. It's a pity, Zhu Tianyi, this idiot. His actions failed at the beginning, otherwise we wouldn't have to wait until now. Xiong naturally didn't care about Zhangyu as an individual. He had too many ways to destroy him with just a thought. What he was more concerned about was the evil god behind Zhangyu. He didn't intend to force Zhangyu to death, but to continuously oppress him in the name of Chechen, forcing him to take the initiative to contact the evil god, under his subsequent surveillance, ask the evil god for help, and then find the other party's evil god. Inside the classroom of the demonstration class, Su Haifeng stood on the podium. As the dean of students at Songyang High School, a man so dedicated that even dogs passing by would have to read a few pages of a book, his mere presence made the students tense and incredibly focused. And the content of Su Haifeng's speech at this moment caused many students to have fluctuating thoughts, even feeling somewhat at a loss. Recently, some students have shown a weak sense of discipline, especially the phenomenon of unwarranted absenteeism, which has occurred from time to time. This not only seriously affects your own studies, but also undermines the learning atmosphere of the entire class and even the school. The school has zero tolerance for this kind of behavior and will conduct strict investigations. Once a student is found to be absent from class without a valid reason, they will be given a corresponding punishment. Don't underestimate this punishment. One punishment means that an indelible mark will be left on your student record, and if you accumulate 3 punishments, the school will directly expel you. Some students may think that being expelled is no big deal, and they can just change schools and continue studying. But I want to sound a warning to you: after being expelled from the school, you will be put on the blacklist of the education system. Once you are on this blacklist, you will not be able to participate in the college entrance examination, and no high school or university will accept you. This means that your path to immortality will be interrupted. Qian Shen raised his hand and asked, do we have to attend every general knowledge course as well? Su Haifeng said, as a matter of course, that's natural. Any absence from any course will be treated as truancy, including general knowledge courses. Zhang Yu, sitting behind his desk, felt Su Haifeng's gaze constantly, sweeping over him as he spoke, and he felt as if every word was directed at him. And Su Haifeng, looking at Zhang Yu, thought to himself, the patrol team has finally shifted their attention away from us a bit. The top priority now is to seize this opportunity to capture the evil god behind Zhang Yu, in order to enhance the master's position. Zhang Yu, as a high school student, even a so-called top student, was not to be feared in Su Haifeng's eyes. Even if he had to come up with a solution himself, he could easily suppress him. The key issue is always the evil god behind him. We must not reveal our intentions, otherwise, with the caution of the evil god, it is very likely that he will abandon Zhang Yu and escape directly. We must let Chap186 oppress him little by little, forcing him, pushing him to take the initiative to seek help from the evil god. Thinking of this, Su Haifeng's gaze merely swept over Zhang Yu, without saying much more. As for the changes in school rules, which would affect the subsequent academic performance of students, that was not at all in Su Haifeng's mind, let alone the elders of the Zhu family behind him. After all, the key high school students who were already considered the pride of heaven in the eyes of many people, were just resources that grew in large numbers every year, for Su Haifeng and the others. At most, some were domestic, some were wild, some provided value through labor in the future, and some provided value through their organs. As long as they could achieve their goals, improve the position of the evil god to welcome the tide of the times, what did sacrificing the interests of some students matter? In the following math class, all the students obediently stayed in the classroom. The math teacher, after walking into the classroom, looked somewhat unaccustomed to the students sitting upright and attentively, with no one absent. However, after lecturing for a while, he felt high-spirited and had a sense of vindication. At the same time, teachers patrolled back and forth in the corridor, checking the classroom situation at any time. Feeling Su Haifeng's eyes with dazzling electric light, many students were nervous and dared not have the slightest outrageous behavior. Troublesome. Obediently attending math class, isn't this purely a waste of time? Zhang Yu thought to himself, fortunately, I can still cultivate my mental cultivation method and breathing exercises. He looked at Bai Zhenjin, who was holding a power bank not far away, and knew that she was also seizing the time to recharge and practice breathing exercises. Zhang Yu continued to think, but for the other courses, with my friendship with the teachers, I should be able to be a little freer, right? On the training ground, martial arts teacher Lei Jin called Zhang Yu out separately. Zhang Yu asked, Teacher, can I still find a place to cultivate separately during the next martial arts class? Listening to Zhang Yu's question, Lei Jin sighed helplessly. No way, Zhang Yu, the situation has been particularly tight recently. If you skip class, not only will you be punished, but I will also be implicated, and my performance and salary will be deducted. Hearing these words, Zhang Yu frowned slightly. He didn't want to practice many of his cultivation methods in front of his classmates and teachers. But there are also benefits. In order to improve your grades, the school has specially customized a special subsidy plan for excellent students like you. For example, during martial arts class, in order to let you consolidate your foundation and strengthen your roots, the school allows me to teach you various basic cultivation methods for free. When saying these words, Lei Jin felt a little guilty in his heart. With many years of experience as a high school martial arts teacher, he knew very well that one should not practice too many basic cultivation methods. The so-called practice of many basic cultivation methods to consolidate the foundation and strengthen the roots was something that some ancient sects paid attention to. It was something that would be done when planning a cultivation time of 10 or 20 years, and it had long been eliminated by the times. Now the high school stage is racing against time, and there are countless better and faster ways to consolidate the foundation than basic cultivation methods. Practicing too many basic cultivation methods is equivalent to wasting time. Chap186 is letting Zhang Yu practice basic cultivation methods every day in martial arts class, which is equivalent to wasting his time and delaying his years. Although this was the case, Lei Jin ultimately did not stop this matter. He thought to himself, after all, Chap186 directly persuaded the principal and the school board this time. This shows that in order to deal with Zhang Yu, Chap186 may have borrowed the power of the Zhu family. In front of behemoths like the 16 great clans, I am just an ordinary worker, and Zhang Yu is just a student. What power do they have to resist? As for transferring schools or something, Lei Jun sighed secretly that Songyang High School had to be willing to let people go. Just the matters of school registration and compensation would be a lot of trouble. Then, after calculating the school's investment in the student, do some accounting casually, call for a high price compensation, and which high school would be willing to take over? Lei Jun had heard that Bai Long's coach had invited Xiong Yu during the competition before, and Chechen had said that he would not let him go. He heard that Xiong Yu no longer participated in any competitions later, so probably no high school would be willing to spend a lot of money to take him over. Having worked and cultivated in Songyang City for so long, Lei Jun knew very well the weight of the Ju family. They were not something that ordinary students or teachers could contend with. Once I disobey them, I am afraid that I will become an optimized middle-aged man, start looking for work all over the street, and finally be unable to find a formal job because of my age, and can only run express delivery or food delivery. Then work desperately under 360-degree surveillance, living with strict monitoring of every toilet break, meal, and step count, wearing a professional smiling face model, being trampled on by customers, security guards, merchants, and station managers, and still not being able to pay off the loan without working overtime for more than 200 hours a month. If I'm lucky, I can work hard to make money while using the money I earn to maintain my cultivation, and finally be able to work safely until the end of my life. If I'm unlucky, such as accidentally injuring someone while delivering food, or being beaten by a security guard, then I will eventually be unable to repay the loan due to insufficient working hours and will constantly sell my flesh and blood. Watching myself gradually turn back into an ordinary old man, with the humiliation of other mortals towards me, the former immortal cultivator, and finally rot to death in some sewer. Just thinking about it, Lei Jun felt an immense fear in his heart. No, I have cultivated for so many years, how can I end up with this kind of ending? On the contrary, if he followed Chechen's instructions, not only would he not be optimized, but the other party would also help Lei Jun pay off his university loan. Thinking of this, Lei Jun sighed long in his heart, and dared not look Xiong Yu in the eye. As a teacher, Lei Jun appreciated Xiong Yu's talent and grades, but as a Kongshu person, he knew that the money in hand was the most important thing. Lei Jun thought to himself, I'm sorry, Xiong Yu, but anyway, you can't get into the top 10. What difference does it make if your grades are a little better, or worse? You might as well help me. However, in order to take care of the other party a little, Lei Jun still intended to give the other party a little freedom of choice. He continued to say to Xiong Yu, as long as it is a basic cultivation method at our Songyang High School has the right to teach, you can choose any one you want, and I will teach you that one, and then let the school issue you the right to use it. Hearing these words, Xiong Yu's eyes lit up slightly, and he asked, what other basic cultivation methods can we learn at our high school? Lei Jun said with great familiarity, in addition to the ones that have already been taught to you, there are high school basic sword techniques, high school basic footwork, high school basic digestion method, high school basic medication method. Listening to Lei Jun skillfully reciting the names of one basic cultivation method after another, Xiong Yu simply opened his mobile phone to record them one by one, and then logged into the shopping website for a burst of searching, reading the introductions of each cultivation method. This high school basic footwork can assemble the high school holy body in the chain method diagram. And high school basic digestion method, high school basic medication method. Not bad, not bad. Songyang High School is worthy of being a key high school. The included high school basic cultivation methods are very comprehensive, enough for me to assemble the entire set of high school holy body. Thinking of this, Xiong Yu looked at Lei Jun with an excited face and said, then I will learn the high school basic digestion method first. Lei Jun looked at the other parties full of fighting spirit, sighed in his heart, but did not say anything, but began to guide the other party in this basic cultivation method hand in hand. This high school basic digestion method is a cultivation method that uses various basic movements and mana operation to stimulate gastrointestinal peristalsis and enhance digestion and absorption ability. After 2 consecutive martial arts classes, Lei Jun looked at the constant bursts of rumbling sounds, like rolling thunder, in Xiong Yu's body, and thought to himself, did he learn it already? That's so fast. It's a pity that this kind of aptitude will be used to constantly practice basic cultivation methods next. Xiong Yu looked at his feather book with satisfaction. The high school basic digestion method on it had reached level 3. Although the cultivation method had reached level 3, Xiong did not take the initiative to reveal it, but disguised himself as if he had just learned it again and again. Anyway, for him, such cultivation could also improve the level of the cultivation method. After the martial arts class, the students of the demonstration class came to the gymnasium together again, ready to start the physical education class. But this time, in addition to Wang Hai, there was also an additional physical education teacher in the gymnasium. Then, in the unexpected gazes of everyone, Wang Hai said, "Students, your physical education courses in the second year of high school will be taught by teacher Lin Hui, next to me. Teacher Lin Hui is very skilled, and you must learn from her well." The physical education teacher next to Wang Hai, who was 2.5 meters tall, 2 meters wide, and whose gender could not be distinguished from the appearance alone, smiled slightly and said, "Hello, students. The school attaches great importance to the physical education courses of the demonstration class. In order to better improve everyone's physical education scores, the school has decided to distribute a dragon elephant preparation for free in every physical education class from now on." Hearing these words, many students cheered all of a sudden, and even Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjian's eyes lit up, thinking that this broken Songyang High School could actually do such a good thing. Wang Hai stood aside, silently watching Lin Hui distribute the dragon elephant preparation, and the students happily taking the medicine and injecting it, silently recalling what Zhi Chechen had explained before. "Do you want to add addictive drugs to Zhang Yu's dragon elephant preparation?" Originally, Zhu Chechen intended to instruct Wang Hai to do this, and the conditions offered were also very generous, a reward that was enough to make Wang Hai feel extremely tempted. In addition, Zhang Yu had been confirmed not to be a Golden Core disciple, and Jiang Pianpian, who signed the contract behind him, had already left the first level of Kongshu and there was no news, and Zhi Chechen had already mobilized the power of the Zhu family to start doing things. All of this seemed to be reminding Wang Hai that he should agree. But Wang Hai ultimately chose neither to oppose, nor to support, nor to participate. Because he couldn't understand this matter. He couldn't understand why Zhang Yu would progress so quickly, nor could he understand whether there was anyone behind Zhang Yu, and he couldn't understand whether Zhi Chechen was dealing with Zhang Yu for the sake of venting his anger, or for other purposes. As a top physical education coach, who had been in Songyang High School for decades, Wang Hai had always had a principle. That is, he would not participate in things that he did not understand, no matter how much money he earned. Listening to Audio Nova. Based on Wang Hai's life experience over the years, he has learned that the things he couldn't understand in Kongshu were often caused by the meddling of powerful forces behind the scenes. And once ordinary people get involved in the chess games of those companies and wealthy families, they often don't end up well. It was this principle that kept Wang Hai as just a physical education teacher for decades. But it was also because of this principle that he still has a golden physical education teacher job after decades. As for Lin Hui, a new teacher who was just recruited into Songyang High School last year, Wang Hai could understand her mentality of wanting to make a big profit, while she was still new to the job, as he had the same mentality when he was young. But whether it was the Lin Hui in front of him or Zhang Yu, Wang Hai didn't have high hopes for their future. Alas, ordinary cultivators who fall into the vortex between these powerful forces may earn a lot at first, but in the end, they often end up bankrupt and are eaten clean, without anything left. Which of those guys above is willing to let others take advantage for nothing, and not get any benefits? As for Zhang Yu, even after receiving the dragon elephant preparation, he still didn't quite believe that Songyang High School would be so kind as to give students free medicine. This isn't the school culture of our Songyang High School. Could there be something wrong with this medicine? It wasn't until he saw the students around him taking the medicine, and starting to temper their bodies with vigor, that Zhang Yu also took a little bit to try. "Let's try it, anyway. My spring-autumn endless Zen is already level 10, so even if there's something wrong with this medicine, I should be able to expel it." But soon after that little bit of dragon elephant preparation entered his body, Zhang Yu felt like a flame was burning inside him, igniting his whole body. Zhang Yu's first feeling was this medicine is so strong, it's like an explosive detonating inside his body, making him want to dance wildly for 3 days and 3 nights. And the second feeling was that this medicine is so poisonous. After pushing spring-autumn endless Zen to level 10, Zhang Yu's sensitivity to medicinal poisons and dross had already reached an unprecedented peak. At this moment, he felt that the medicinal poisons and dross in this medicine were 10 times more intense than ordinary drugs. But it's still under the control of spring-autumn endless zen. However, in public, Xiong Yu was unwilling to expose his spring-autumn endless zen, so he followed the medicinal power, and began to cultivate the scarlet marrow primordial key first. Lin Hui silently watched this scene from the side, a subtle smile appearing on the corner of her mouth. She thought to herself, this isn't ordinary dragon elephant preparation, but mad dragon preparation. Although its effectiveness is several times stronger than dragon elephant preparation, it can comprehensively improve a person's energy, physical strength, and vitality, and greatly enhance the efficiency of body tempering, but it also has the biggest problem, which is addictiveness. Once there is a first time, then there will be countless times. You can't stop. At this moment, Lin Hui seemed to have already seen Xiong Yu becoming more and more addicted to the increased body tempering efficiency brought by the potion after using Mad Dragon preparation again and again, then using more and more of it, and finally discovering that he was addicted, kneeling in front of her and begging for the potion. As the bell rang, physical education class ended, and it was time for school to let out. Fuji sighed first. You can't skip general knowledge classes. Then, you can only cultivate basic skills in martial arts classes. Then, you use such a strong medicine with such strong toxicity in physical education class. These methods are simply more excessive than the last. Although Xiong Yu was very happy that he could get the school's basic skills for free, he could also feel that this was not a good intention. Later, during the exchange with Fuji also thought so. This is obviously deliberately wasting your time. Are you sure you want to cultivate these basic skills? Xiong Yu said lightly, I have my own arrangements, and solidifying the foundation is a good thing for me. Fuji didn't understand Xiong Yu's thoughts, and could only guess that it was related to the potential he had improved. After the physical education class just now, Xiong Yu also asked Bai Zhenjin and the others, and their feelings after taking the medicine were completely different from his own. Obviously they were not using the same medicine. The body tempering medicine has also been changed. Xiong Yu thought to himself, this is completely aimed at me. After hearing Xiong Yu's description of the situation, Bai Zhenjin frowned and said, I heard that these school reforms recently were all proposed by the student council. Could it be that Zhichechin is starting to make trouble again, to retaliate against us? Xiong Yu sighed. Zhichechin, that guy, has been quiet for a while, and now he's going to cause trouble again. Just before Xiong Yu left the school, Su Haifeng and another middle-aged male teacher stopped Xiong Yu. Su Haifeng said lightly, Xiong Yu, the school attaches great importance to your training. After discovering that your Taoist skills are not good, we have specially invited a teacher to tutor you in Taoist skills. From now on, after school every day, study with teacher Zhu for 4 hours before leaving. Remember, according to the rules of Songyang City, the 4 hours after school are also considered normal teaching time in high school. Since tutoring has been arranged, then you are not allowed to skip class. Xiong Yu was speechless when he heard this. What kind of bullshit rule is this? The 4 hours after school are also normal teaching time? Is this human language? And when he heard the content of the tutoring, Xiong Yu was even more stunned. Taoist skills. Tutoring. Isn't high school Taoist skills just talismans? Isn't this thing about making progress if you have money, and not getting good grades if you don't have money? This thing still needs tutoring. And when Xiong Yu was pulled into the classroom by teacher Zhu, and saw the 300 test papers that the other party handed out, he felt a deep malice. He only heard teacher Zhu in front of him say, lightly, do the test papers. Do the test papers 100 times, and the meaning will appear by itself. From now on, you will come here to do test papers every day. The more test papers you do, the more your ability to take the exam for talismans will naturally increase. Xiong Yu narrowed his eyes slightly, and a strong dissatisfaction surged in his heart. This is going to waste another 4 hours of my time, every day. Teacher Zhu looked at Xiong Yu's slightly changed expression, and a trace of ridicule appeared in his eyes. What? Do you want to violate the school's normal teaching plan, and want to be disciplined? Xiong Yu took a deep breath, looked at the talisman test paper in front of him, and silently started doing it. Just as Xiong Yu was doing the talisman test paper, Bai Zhenjin kicked open the door of the student council office with a bang. The latest novels are first published on the 69 book bar. Looking at Hidai behind the desk, Bai Zhenjin said, coldly, was the talisman tutoring after school for Xiong Yu arranged by the student council? Hidai quickly raised his hands and explained, it has nothing to do with me. It's all the idea of the president. Bai Zhenjin asked, where is Chechen? After a while, Bai Zhenjin's whole body was thundering, and she shot like lightning to the practice field of the senior high school students. Looking at Chechen and Lanling, who were practicing in the distance, Bai Zhenjin said coldly, Chechen, immediately cancel Zhang Yu's tutoring. Otherwise, from today onwards, I will challenge you once every day, and beat you until you vomit every time I see you. I see what face you have to stay in school. Chechen didn't even look at Bai Zhenjin, and waved his hand casually and said, drive her away, don't affect our practice. In the next moment, Bai Zhenjin only felt a residual image suddenly appear in front of her, so fast that she only had time to cross her hands to block. Bang! Bai Zhenjin shot out like a meteor, and in a blink of an eye, she had fallen outside the practice field. At the same time, a young man slowly walked towards her and said with a chuckle, my name is Zhou Hao, and I am now responsible for Chechen's safety. Do you want me to beat you all the way out, or do you leave on your own? With a soft sound, Zhou Hao had instantly appeared in front of Bai Zhenjin, looking at Bai Zhenjin, and said, by the way, I am a college student who graduated from the 72nd lower school. I studied security as my major. With your high school student level, you have no chance in front of me. Bai Zhenjin stared at Zhou Hao in front of her, feeling the aura of the peak of qi refining, knowing that what the other party said was true. She thought to herself, 72nd lower school. Among universities, in addition to the top 10 top universities, there are also 36 upper schools, 72 lower schools, as well as junior colleges, and other miscellaneous schools. The 72 lower schools represent the 72 third-rate universities. Although they are not powerful among many universities, they represent that the other party has entered the peak of qi refining for more than 10 years, and does not know how many level 10 skills they are proficient in. A cultivation time difference of more than 10 years. Bai Zhenjin gritted her teeth, knowing that even if she showed all her strength, she could not be the opponent. Looking at Bai Zhenjin, who left decisively, Zhou Hao nodded. That's right, a wise man submits to circumstances. Chechen also asked me to ask you, if I give you 1 million, would you be willing to betray Zhang Yu? Isn't that nonsense? Bai Zhenjin turned her head sharply and said, as a matter of course you directly transfer the money, and I will stab him twice now. Zhou Hao said lightly, sign the contract first, and then transfer the money. Bai Zhenjin snorted coldly and left without looking back. Just as she came to the small flower bed, intending to practice while waiting for Zhang Yu to finish class, she felt through the detection ceremony that there was a camera aimed at her. The camera in the school. No, that's not the location of the school's camera. Sensing the light in her field of vision, Bai Zhenjin's brows furrowed even tighter. Someone is secretly monitoring me? Is it also Chechen's people? Thinking that the person monitoring her was also a college student of Zhou Hao's level, Bai Zhenjin knew that it would be very difficult to get rid of the other party. If this keeps staring at us, wouldn't we even be able to go to the dark learning gang? This guy is gradually eroding our space for cultivation and making money. At this moment, Bai Zhenjin once again felt a kind of pressure that she hadn't felt for a long time. Especially as Chechen's methods were displayed one by one, a pressure that was stronger, heavier, and more difficult to resist than the oppression that the other party had brought in the past began to constantly attack from all directions. It's like a bottomless abyss, about to completely devour her and Zhang Yu. Inside the training grounds of Songyang High School. As Chechen took a deep breath, the surrounding chill quickly subsided, and his frost heaven freezing qi field slowly dissipated. In front of Chechen, Lanling, whose face was frozen blue and purple, shivered. As the qi and blood throughout his body continued to circulate, a surge of heat made him feel slightly better. However, Lanling didn't care about the frostbite on his body. Instead, he said with some delight, President, you've finally gotten serious, and even used the Zhu family's power, right? In Lanling's view, Zhu Shechen's ability to mobilize the Zhu family's power to retaliate against Zhang Yu meant that his status in the Zhu family was much higher than Lanling had previously estimated. Lanling continued, why not strike while the iron is hot, and find a way to expel Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjin? Looking at Lanling's somewhat excited appearance, Chechen thought to himself, Lanling, if my opponent were you. How wonderful would that be? Of course, he couldn't agree with Lanling's suggestion. After all, according to Zhu Yang's instructions, what he needed to do was to gradually put pressure on Zhang Yu, making it increasingly difficult for Zhang Yu to breathe, but not to crush him all at once. Zhu Shechin thought to himself, to step on the opponent, while not crushing them to death in one step, that's the difficulty of this operation. Now, the martial arts class is leading him to the dead end of basic exercises. Through physical education, he is gradually becoming addicted to addictive drugs. Taoist tutoring compresses the time he can earn money and cultivate after school. Zhu Shechin could imagine that as Xiong Yu continued to lack time to cultivate and earn money, his strength and grades would inevitably decline. After all, even immortality, in this respect, is the same as most skills in the world. If the practice time is insufficient, not only will the original level not be maintained, but it will even begin to regress. The muscles and bones throughout the body will regress as exercise decreases, leading to a decrease in physical strength. Mana will gradually decline as breathing exercises decrease, even affecting the control of mana. The Tao heart will also produce self-doubt and self-examination due to insufficient cultivation time, gradually losing control. Not to mention, without money, there's no money for drugs. With long-term drug use suddenly stopping, the regression in cultivation will be even more obvious. Although Zhu Shechin knew that Xiong Yu couldn't get into the top 10 universities, even non-top 10 universities had huge differences between them. The 36 upper-level academies, 72 lower-level academies, and the pile of miscellaneous vocational colleges, the gap between them is not small. What would it feel like to watch your level gradually slide from being able to test into the 36 upper-level academies to the level of a vocational college? Zhu Shechin couldn't imagine it, but he could guess that the feeling must be uncomfortable. After all, he had seen many similar examples. Songyang High School never lacked poor geniuses who were bullied and whose grades declined every year. Falling grades is the easiest thing to break the students of key high schools. Shuang Yupeng, the top student of the grade in his class, also collapsed after watching his grades decline. In Zhu Shechin's eyes, Xiong Yu had stronger talent and better grades, but if he didn't consider the person behind him, dealing with him would only take more people and money than Shuang Yupeng. In addition, as the other party gradually gets used to and addicted to the Mad Dragon potion, Zhu Shechin could imagine the other party's desperate appearance once the addictive drug is stopped. If that's not enough, lure this guy into gambling, or set up some other pig butchering scheme. And by Zhenjin, even if she is unwilling to betray Xiong Yu now, as the difference in treatment between the two gradually emerges, they will inevitably have conflicts. Zhu Shechin had seen many examples of poor people being played with until their bodies and minds collapsed, and finally obediently becoming dogs. Although those poor people may not have Xiong Yu's grades, human nature, in Zhu Shechin's view, is the same. When Xiong Yu's grades continue to decline, but sees that Bai Zhenjin is not being targeted like him, what will he think? When poor people are in desperate situations, if they find that their original good friends are also unreliable, it is often a fatal blow. Zhu Shechin sighed inwardly. With the power of the Zhu family, it was too easy for him to let such a poor student step into the abyss step by step. Now his biggest problem is worrying about the counterattack of the person behind Xiong Yu, worrying about the backlash he will suffer. After all, according to Ji Yang, he wanted to force Xiong Yu to ask for help step by step. Zhu Shechin thought to himself, I have to think about how to protect myself. Just then, Lan Ling's call interrupted Zhu Shechin's thoughts. President? President? Lan Ling looked at Zhu Shechin and said, President, did you hear what I said? Find a chance to expel them directly. Although he had flashed through the matter in his mind again, Zhu Shechin knew that he couldn't tell Lan Ling these things, especially since Ji Yang required Zhu Shechin to force Xiong Yu to ask for help in his own name. How could he tell outsiders these things? So after thinking about it, Zhu Shechin finally said quietly, instead of expelling people and letting them go outside to work freely and earn money, I think it's better to keep them in school and play with them slowly. Lan Ling's eyes lit up when he heard this, and he smiled. Indeed, you are the one who knows how to play, President, then we will slowly toss him around. Looking at Lan Ling in front of him, who believed it was true, and was eager to try, Zhu Shechin sighed in his heart, alas, if all the senior high school students in Songyang City were like you, then I would be able to steadily get into the top 10 universities. At the same time, at the school gate of Songyang High School, Xiong Yu, who had been doing test papers for 4 hours, frowned, constantly thinking about the current situation in his mind. When he saw Bai Zhenjin, he saw the other party pick up her phone and send him a message. Bai Zhenjin, be careful, someone is watching us. Zhang Yu's brows furrowed even tighter, and after activating the power of the detection ritual, he indeed felt the existence of cameras. Zhang Yu sent a message back, try to get rid of them. So the next moment, the two figures accelerated, and they had already shot out, bringing a burst of air and disappearing into the distance. But soon the two found that no matter how they accelerated, how they turned sharply, or how they changed direction, it was difficult to get rid of the tracking of the person in the dark. Even after entering the subway, they could detect the tracking of cameras again not long after leaving the station. Bai Zhenzhen took out her phone and sent a message very strong. The strength of the people following us is completely above us. Bai Zhenzhen recounted her experience of looking for Zhu, Chechen, and being repelled by a security guard named Zhihao, and sent another message. The guys who are tracking us now are likely to be masters who have reached the peak of key refining for many years, just like Zhihao. By Zhenzhen, maybe they are also specialized in taking pictures, tracking, and monitoring. Zhang Yu understood that if he was continuously tracked, it meant that they couldn't go to the Dark Tutoring World to earn money, and they couldn't go to Anon in the protected area to borrow the spiritual veins for cultivation. Just as Zhang Yu was thinking about countermeasures, Fuki spoke in the minds of the 2 inches. Bear with it for now. Bai Zhenzhen sent a message. Chechen is compressing our cultivation and earning time step by step. Are we going to sit still and wait for death? Fuki looked at Zhang Yu's phone screen, looked at the message sent by Bai Zhenzhen, and continued, when dealing with Huo Shan and Song Zhu, we were able to be so smooth, because we mastered the information gap and mastered the information they didn't know. But this time, Zhu Chechen and the Zhu family behind him can continuously monitor you, investigate you, and constantly grasp your information. The bigger your actions, the more information you expose. And you know too little about Zhu Chechen and the Zhu family. Even Zhu Chechen's ultimate goal is unknown. In addition, the resources and energy they have are beyond your reach. Based on my life experience, in this case, if you act blindly and counterattack blindly, there will often be no good results. Fuki sighed and said, so, bear with it for now. Many times in life, you will encounter opponents that cannot be resisted at this stage, and at this time, you must learn to lie dormant. The more this is the case, the more you must calm down, focus on your own growth in the process of patience, and then silently look for flaws and wait for the opportunity to counterattack. And from the current situation, you have the conditions to endure. After all, the methods they use have not really hit you, and even some aspects can be used by you. Your own abilities, potential, and the ritual power I give you are all the information gaps you have when facing them. Exerting the role of these information gaps will allow you to persevere in the confrontation with them, until you find a chance to win. So in the following days, Zhang Yu seemed to have returned to the life of an ordinary top student, in Oki High School, traveling between school and apartment every day, living a 2-point line of work between going to school and going home. In general knowledge class, Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenzhen seized the time to run the mental method, breathing spiritual machines, and improving their Dao heart and mana bit by bit. In physical education class, under the gaze of teacher Lin Hui, Zhang Yu took a breath and injected the mad dragon preparation that was sent into his body, feeling the fierce medicinal power pumping out wildly in his body, and began to practice the scarlet marrow Hunyuan Qi. On the other side, Bai Zhenjin's body was flashing with electric light. After injecting the dragon elephant preparation, she used the medicinal power, thunder magic power, and true spirit route to madly promote the thunderclap true body. Especially the thunder magic power possessed after stimulating potential, made her cultivation of thunderclap true body even more effective, and with the true spirit root, it was even more rapid. In addition, she occasionally ran to the toilet to sick a few mouthfuls of the charging treasure, which made her body refining progress even faster. Fortunately, when she originally practiced the thunderclap true body, there was electric light flashing, and although there was an additional blessing of thunder magic power at this moment, it did not attract too much attention.